Hey everybody, thanks for hanging out with me today on the My Bourbon Journey Whiskey Review channel. So something I'm really excited to do a review of for you today, and something that's a little bit new-ish to me, from Chattanooga Whiskey Company. This is their Chattanooga Straight Bourbon Whiskey 111. So again, this is coming in at 111 proof or 55.5% ABV. MASHBILL is semi-disclosed. Now, what it is that they do, they're very openly transparent about, everything that they're doing. It's all on the back of the bottle. It doesn't have the percentages, but the mash bill on this one is going to be a yellow corn, malted rye, and then a caramel and honey malted barley. So very interesting in terms of the mash bill on this one to create this bourbon. So again, we're going to be a little bit higher on the malted barley side of things, but again, it's going to be a very interesting mash bill, and you'll see kind of how we transition, into the palate on this one as well. So it is, in terms of its age statement, it indicates on the back that it's greater than 2 years. So we know that it's a minimum of 2 years. What exactly that age is, we don't really know that as well. And the MSRP on this one, for me, I got this when I was down in Kentucky, and I think it was right around that $45 kind of price range. So I thought, for what it was, and had kind of heard a little bit of hype about it, I picked it up, and so far have really been enjoying it, and I'll show that to you guys here today. So, all right, let's go ahead and get into the review. Color, love the color. This nice kind of deep copper type of color. Move it around in the glass a little bit. Fairly oily, not overly viscous or overly oily, but some decent oils that are there as well. So, all right, let's go ahead and get into the nose. So right away, I get this nice kind of like caramel corn, or almost like a Cracker Jacks type of nose. Nice kind of like chocolate nose. Great baking spice on this one. Or maybe like an allspice. It's just a lot of nice blended spices that are there. And even like a kind of a touch of, maybe this has a little bit to do with the Cracker Jacks, but I get a little bit more of that kind of like a honey graham cracker note. And this is something interesting. I also get a juicy fruit bubblegum note on that one. That's something you remember as like a kid and chewing on a lot of juicy fruit. You kind of you remember that when you smell it. There's even like kind of a slight like creamy nuttiness that's there on this one as well. And I think even a touch of citrus that's there as well on this one. I don't know if this is just part of the honey and the graham crackers or what that is. There's this sweetness, but it's coming across as a slight citrus note that's there. It's not overly like dominant from like an orange, and there's maybe the citrus part might be a touch of like a lemon. Like there's a little bit of a tartness that's there on this one. Definitely some of that like rye is kind of coming out in this as well. Kind of like a sweet rye grain. Maybe even a touch of mint on this one as well. Again, nice caramels, vanillas that are there. Maybe even a little bit of like an herbal characteristic, like maybe a green or a black tea, something like that. Not like a youthful characteristic. It's more of a direct, like a green or black tea, something like that. That's very like herbal. All right, more importantly, let's see how this one is going to taste. Cheers. So right away, no bones about it. There's that malted barley aspect comes out in it like right away. Now, as it sits on the palate, is when you need to kind of figure out what some of the profile is going to be, or what it's going to have to offer for you guys. But yeah, right away, that malted barley aspect is definitely coming out in this one. What I'll say, it's very bright, meaning there's some effervescence that's there to it. And I would say the citrus is kind of coming out a little bit more in this one as well. Those herbal characteristics as well. Nice chocolate note on this one. Might even lean a little bit towards the kind of the dark sweet chocolate, something along those lines, but very alive. There's bright, there's this effervescence. Sits really heavy for me right on the mid palate. Great spice, lingering spice, nice chocolate. Again, a little bit more of that like kind of Cracker Jacks or that honey graham cracker note that's there as well. Maybe even a touch of like a smokiness that's there. Nice mint. Really nice caramels. A little bit of that honey aspect to it. Again, that honey graham cracker or Cracker Jack, something like that. Just kind of resonates with me. Slight floral note on that as well. Maybe that's some of the malted barley kind of coming through, where there's a little bit of that softness that's there on it. It's very creamy. That's the one thing I'll say. It's got a very creamy, fairly viscous, nice mouth coating. But I love the feel of the whiskey. It's just very creamy, which I really enjoy. Maybe even some slight coffee or espresso notes that are there as well. Definitely some of those like burnt sugars. Maybe even a little bit of like a sweet tobacco that's there. But I like the little bit of that smokiness. So as it's kind of sat on the palate, a little bit more smokiness, a little bit more of that chocolate, the Cracker Jacks aspect that's there to it. It's fairly complex. There's a really just nice profile, overall profile that it has to it. Nicely mouth coating. Sits again heavy right on the mid palate for me. Again, fairly creamy. Maybe a touch of black pepper there at the end. It's got a lot going on. That's one thing I'll say. And I think with the blend that they've got with kind of the different malts or the different malted barley, like would they have the honey and caramel malted barley, which is kind of interesting in a bourbon blend. You don't always see that high or that heavy of malted barley with it. But when you're starting to malt things, it does definitely give that different profile. And a lot of times you'll find that things are just a little bit more creamy, a little bit more intense. And this is kind of following suit with what this is, with basically what this is offering. So. Yeah, I mean, I think overall finish on it is fairly long. Again, those nice chocolate, the smokiness, that Cracker Jack, nice spice, oak. The malted barley definitely lets you know that there's some of that's there. Again, chocolate, again, a little bit of that citrus. And again, it's probably borderline between like an orange and maybe even a little bit of a tartness from like a lemon, something along those lines. I'm really kind of digging what this has to offer, and I like the fact that it's something different. So if you're looking to get a little bit out of your comfort zone and still try something that's different, unique, delicious, I would definitely give the Chattanooga 111 a try. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised with what it has to offer overall, and just the overall complexity and how different it is from a standard or traditional type of bourbon profile. So this will take you on a really kind of interesting bourbon journey, so to speak. So there you have it. I mean, I think with what Chattanooga is doing, it's going to be one of those things. I wish I could find it more in my area. Just I don't see it here in Wisconsin very often. But I'll be very interested to kind of follow along with what it is that they kind of continue to offer. And hopefully eventually they start to get more distribution and allow these products to get in the hands of more people, so that they have a better chance of really being able to try, what it is that they're doing. Because this is one of those companies that I think a lot of people really need to really try and experience. I think they'll be very, very happy and pleasantly surprised with what it is that Chattanooga is really doing. So there you have it. This is the Chattanooga straight bourbon whiskey, specifically their 111. Again, coming in at 111 proof. And again, pretty friendly price range. I think right in that $45-ish price point from what I remember. So again, definitely give them a try. If you can pick it up, definitely do so. I think you'll be very, very pleased with that. So I want to say thank you so much for tuning into another one of my reviews. Greatly appreciate all of your support. If you'd like to follow me, you can on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of those places at My Bourbon Journey. If you'd like to help support the channel, you can through my Patreon page, which I'll have linked in the description below. That will also allow you to become part of the Mash and Journey Whiskey Club, where Jason from the Mash and Drum and I have kind of partnered up to create this whiskey club where we do a lot of really fun and interesting barrel picks. We offer those to our patrons only, so I'll try to keep it a little bit exclusive from that standpoint. So if that's of interest to you, make sure you check out the link in the description below. So again, with that being said, thank you so much for tuning into another one of my reviews. And remember, it's about the journey and not the destination. Cheers.